بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. We are glad and excited to meet our brother here, mashallah. He accepted the invitation to join us to do a podcast for Muslim community in USA channel. So Jazakallah khair, brother, for joining
Barakallah
us.
fiqh, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum
Wa
wa
alaikum
rahmatullah.
assalam wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah khair for
How are you?
joining us. Alhamdulillah, everything is
Alhamdulillah.
good. Jazakallah khair. So brother, we as you know, there are lots of issues and topics and problems that need to be addressed one way or another.
Yeah.
And the way we want to go about it is to use the word. The hadith. When you see a munkar, you you change it with your hand. But if you can't, then with your words. And I believe our hands are unable to do that. So we will
Alhamdulillah.
do it through words, inshallah. We'll do the job.
Inshallah.
So the topic that I believe we can discuss this for this podcast is the halal income and consumption. In other words, your income has to be from a halal source in a halal way, and consume it also in a halal way. And that's something that the reason I brought it up is I noticed some brothers and some others who aren't exactly following that. So what's your
Mm.
thought around that?
I think in terms of when it comes to income and when it comes to what we earn, it is probably one of the most important and paramount things that our religion focuses on. That whatever we earn our income from, its source has to be halal.
Yeah.
Having said that, we also live in times where, if we start following the literal scripture, you wouldn't be able to even buy stuff from Kroger or from Walmart because everything that is sitting on the shelf is actually bought on interest, on loan, not paid for. Right? So if you think about it, so realistically, where does a Muslim stand? A Muslim stands where, you try your best, fattaqullaha
ما استطعتم.
mastata'tum.
No.
That we as Muslims living in non-Muslim lands and minority lands, we have to be able to understand a certain concept, which is that the concept of taqwa is, if I can leave it, I should leave it.
There you go.
But if I have no choice, like car insurance, everybody will tell you it's haram, but you don't have a choice.
That's right.
You're in this country, you're going to have to get car insurance.
Exactly.
There's no choice. Then over there, your taqwa is, at least you feel that, oh Allah, I have no choice. My hands are cuffed. I have to do this.
I hate it in my heart, but
Yeah, I know this is wrong, but I
yes.
don't have a choice. It's law in this land that I must have insurance.
Yes.
Similarly, when it comes to dealing with credit, you have to deal with credit. There's no choice here because you're gonna have to build credit. Like I recently moved to America. I had to pay $1,000 to my utility, another $1,000 to another utility because I don't have a credit in this country. People
That's
don't have
right.
$2,000 sitting around for them to be able to go and pay.
Correct.
Alhamdulillah, Allah facilitated that for me, but other people are not able to give 1,000 here and 1,000 here and 1,000 here and 3 utility bills and saying, "Oh, I'm not going to deal with credit," right?
That's
So
right.
you're going to have to build your credit. You're going to have to deal with credit, but then you try your best how you can try your best to avoid falling into the haram. So you are in the credit system because realistically, the fact that you're in the credit system, it's haram in the first place. You can't even sign the contract of a credit card because aqdur riba is haram. Other than the
Subhanallah.
Hanafiya, the aqdur riba in the rest of the madhahib is not allowed. But we all have no choice. What are you going to do when you land and you need to rent a car? You need a credit card. So you try to use that to the extent which you need and not go beyond our limits. What is happening now is because credit is so accessible, people are going beyond there. So I have my first house, خليني اشتري الثاني, let me buy a second house, والثird والبزنس على كذا وكذا, والتعامل بالربا صار ولا شيء.
They overused
They overused the exemption.
yes.
The exemption was that you need one credit card to build your credit and get. Now I see Muslims, mashallah, 27 credit cards.
No.
Right? That's where the problem happens.
That's right.
Right?
That's exactly right.
That use that which you need from things that are haram because of the virtue of the fact that you live in this land and you have to get involved in it. but to the extent that you need to, and just stick to that.
There you go.
Don't go beyond. Don't go like crazy. I know people use the fatwa, I can buy house on interest. Sure, we give, the ulama of Azhar humma ikhwanuna, and we trust them, and I have nothing against them, mashallah. They're all scholars. If they gave that fatwa, they gave that exemption, but people don't read the fatwa. The exemption is you can buy your own house, not run a business of
Exactly.
houses.
That's right.
The exemption is not for that. The
To buy,
exemption
to
is
buy, to live in it,
to
not
live
to.
in it, بالضرورة,
That's right.
right?
Not do business.
Not do business with it. So I think that's that is what we as communities have to understand that. And now coming to halal consumption, halal food also is a big thing. You try your best to stay away from doubtful things, but don't make your life miserable, because there's two extremes right now. There's one extreme, it says, who cares? I'm just gonna go buy anything and eat anything. So I don't care about the ingredients at the back. I don't care about it. Wala shay. I'm just gonna eat it.
لا حول ولا قوة.
The other extreme is kul shay haram. The Doritos are haram, the Lays are haram, this is haram, that is haram, that is haram, that is like another extreme. Our deen is mu'tadal, it's i'tidal.
No.
To take that extreme and you say, oh, I'm only gonna eat this, and this is that. Sure, at an individual level, if you feel you don't want to eat, you want to stay away من التقوى والورع, ممتاز. بس أنت تجبر وتفرض على الناس, you force people to follow your opinion of that. That is not from the deen.
That's right.
Like people are like, oh, you cannot buy this bread. You can buy this bread. It's bread. It's bread. No, no, no. This one you can't. You can't.
Do they at least give a reason why?
Yeah, they're like, there's some ingredient in there that they think is mashbuh.
Mm,
It's like a doubtful ingredient.
okay.
I said, bread, after it cooks, it's cooked. You can have bread. So the third point in this is, as Muslims, bread is bread. Sharia has not required from you to go and open a bread, turn the bread, read the entire ingredients of the bread, find the one that you think has an issue, Google that ingredient. Sharia did not require us to do that. نحن نأكل على الظاهر أنها حلال.
Inshallah.
That is our thing. We go into a store, we look at a bread, we know that bread on the outward is halal. The other issue, the fourth issue, is the halal meat, right? Which people are very lenient about this. You have again two extremes. You have one extreme, Bismillah halal, that read, yeah,
All
what's
meat.
the ayah in the Quran, right?
Yeah.
That eat from that. ولا تأكلوا do not eat ما ذكر اسم الله عليه. Do not eat that on which Allah's name has. So they're like, oh, مفهوم المخالفة إذا ذكرنا اسم الله فصار حلالا. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. They
It doesn't
they
work like that.
misunderstood that it's during slaughtering, not.
It's during the slaughter. It's not that the meat is there and I say Bismillah Allahu Akbar and at that time and I eat it.
Exactly.
And the other issue is مسألة of أهل الكتاب. That أحلت لكم طعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب طعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم. Yes, but they have to be أهل الكتاب. And there are shurut and shara'it that the ulama have set forth for that. Number one is that al-bahima, or the animal that is being eaten, has to be halal. You can't say Bismillah Allahu Akbar on a pig and eat.
It's yeah.
Don't work like that.
That's
Oh,
right.
I find a nice cat. Bismillah Allahu Akbar. I followed the entire Sharia on it. No, the animal has to be halal. The second point is that the tariqah of dhibh has to be halal, which is that it has to be from the bottom. It cannot be from the top. You cannot chop the head off.
It cannot be with a gun or.
Cannot chop the head off. The third point is that it has to be a dhabih, the person who's doing the dhabiha, who's cutting. That person has to be either a Yahudi, a Jew, or a Christian, or a Muslim. Today, there's recent stats which said 57% of America is atheists. You cannot go into a steakhouse and say, I'm living in a Christian country
Right.
and this is a Christian land, and I'm going to go and eat that because this is, ta'am ahl al-kitab.
Not to mention agnostics.
Agnostics,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep.
So we're living in a time where la diniya, no religion, is a very big thing.
Mhm.
So the chance that your animal was slaughtered by a ahl al-kitab person is very minimal, unless you go and buy meats from the the Hutterites or the Mennonites or the Amish, those Christians that have their own slaughterhouses,
they're still
they're still
following.
following. Or you buy the kosher, then those are different. Like for example, there are certain chains and restaurant chains that are predominantly known as Christian-owned chains. Like in Canada, we have something called Burger Priest.
Wow.
Okay, this person is like, they're Christian to the core. Like when you go in there, they have a cross everywhere. They even on the bathroom, they have like a pastor going to the bathroom and a nun going to the bathroom. The bathroom, like to that level that they
Okay.
so they are Christian, and they care about meat sourced from Christian factories.
Got it.
So
Very good.
those people I'll eat food from, but they're very rare.
That's right.
You're not gonna find them. You can't go to McDonald's and say Bismillah Allahu Akbar.
That's right.
And this thing has to end, because McDonald's is not halal by any madhab.
That's right.
You cannot say McDonald's is halal,
There's no way. Not to mention how they it's the
or
production.
Burger King for that fact.
Yeah, the production is industrialized. So
And the
they
quality of the food.
yeah, they just shoot them, they sting them with electricity, and then they start slaughtering and cutting and chopping.
Yeah,
Sometimes the animal is not fully dead, still moving, and
yeah,
they're skinning. And so
yeah. The ihtiram, like the animal should not feel pain. It should be completely dead before you take off the skin. All of those things,
yep,
because it's industrialized, they don't care about that.
exactly.
Like I literally have seen videos where they'll slaughter a sheep, slit. The sheep is not dead. Slit the legs. The machine comes and strips the animal off while it's still dying
A'udhu billah.
of the
A'udhu
wool.
billah.
Why? Because apparently, if you strip the wool off while it's still alive or something, it just makes the wool better. But who cares about the pain of the animal? Nobody cares about that,
Astaghfirullah alayhi.
right? In China, they literally strip dogs alive,
A'udhu billah.
alive.
Yeah,
They don't even do zabiha, like alive. The dog is fully alive, and they will just slit, skin the thing, and throw the dog to die from the pain.
A'udhu billah.
So our Islam is
Rahmah.
completely rahmah, and
Wallahi
completely
rahmah.
against
Subhanallah.
these types of things. Anyhow,
Subhanallah.
may Allah grant our
Allahumma ameen.
people tawfiq. But again,
Allahumma
to
ameen.
reiterate, it's very hard to find Christian. It's very hard to find Christian meat. Jewish meat is very easy. Alhamdulillah, in Georgia, there are so many
Yep.
kosher places that you can go and eat, and I'm more than happy to eat. I will eat kosher any day,
That's right.
right? I will eat the Christian slaughtered Amish people. We were in a small town in Cleveland, Georgia, and we found a church, and that church had a slaughterhouse. I will eat meat from that.
Subhanallah.
I will eat meat from that, because it has a slaughterhouse that is attached to the church, and it's the Christians of that church that are slaughtering that animal,
Yep.
and the beef was available. I will have no problem buying, because it's an ayah in the Quran.
That's right.
My problem is this Kroger beef. It is coming from a factory which is probably some Hindus, some agnostics,
Yeah, yeah.
some other
Lots,
religion
big
people,
mix.
and it's a mix. So I have no idea bil yaqeen that the zabih, the one who slaughtered,
Is one of the three.
is one of the three.
That's right.
Inshallah, may
So,
Allah
Sheikh,
grant us tawfiq.
Sheikh, there is another problem around that, um, and I witnessed some of it. Like a brother, a Muslim brother, of course, who works in a gas station. I think he said he has to.
Sell
I believe him.
lottery and alcohol.
Yes. And when you mention to him that that makes your income haram, you need to be careful. He would say, "No, I give sadaqah." He thinks giving sadaqah makes haram income halal.
Okay.
So what do we tell these
So
brothers?
let me then let's go first on that.
Okay,
So there's no such thing as halal income anymore.
I mean
Every in
to the best of
No,
your
no. So
ability.
let's first get to that
Yeah.
source. Even if you work in the most halal company, that company is in a debt system. They're on a credit system.
Okay.
Their mal has been touched with riba. So, in the essence, what the ulama they have said is today that there's absolute halal is if you go out and you buy a cow and you raise the cow on the grass pasture, you sell that cow and now you get that naqd, not in the bank, you get cash for that cow. That's the halal income. Very rare. Most of the money that is mutadawil has become mal mukhtalat. That's the terminology they say. It's mal, it's money that has been touched with or mixed with haram. So then from here, what the ulama they say is we have to look at percentages. So a bank, the percentage of their mal mukhtala is very high of haram and very less of halal.
Okay.
But a percentage of a grass cutting company, a landscaping company, the percentage of halal income is a lot more. They might have a few loan for their products and this and that and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it's less. So that's first part. Number two, if you are in wada'if, if you're in places, you're working in a bank, right? The ulama, they absolutely say that today, if you're working in a bank and in the bank, for example, you have you're directly signing those papers and accessing, allowing access to riba, that job itself, it becomes
Haram.
haram. But if you're working in a bank, and I asked this to Sheikh Abdullah Mani' in Saudi, and he said, if you're working in a bank, وأنت في الحاسب الآلي, you're working in computers at the back, مالك دخل, you don't know what they do with
What they
this.
do?
It's just like you sell a sikin and somebody goes and you sell like a knife and somebody goes and kills someone, you can't do anything about it. So the one who's doing IT at the back, he doesn't have any control over what they use this IT. His job is like, your computer needs to be working. What you do with that computer is none of your business. So today, what we have is we have a lot of these people. It's becoming very difficult to have an absolute halal income. It's becoming very difficult.
But Sheikh,
So
in this
this,
case,
coming back to the gas station guy.
yes, there you
So
go.
coming back to the gas station person, right? He has three choices. Choice number one, he has to look. He can't quit his job because he has to
He has to
provide for his
provide. Yep,
family. He has to look for a job that does not have
and
this.
continue to look. Not.
Continue to
Yep.
look to make his income halal. So as long as he keeps looking for a job, then as long as he keeps on working, his alibi is al-hujjah, that I need risk, I don't have risk, and I'm looking for risk. Number two, he has to look at the fact that on that day, for example, he is not held accountable, he is not being paid for the alcohol he sold or for the lottery he sold. He's not being paid from that. He's being paid from the general account over there, general account that is there. That general account is already in a gas station, because I have family that runs gas stations, is already filled with riba, because the gas that you bought was bought under riba.
Mm. والعياذ بالله.
It was bought under riba. So in a gas station, if you take the absolute opinion, you can't even work if they only sell gas, because nobody buys gas on halal income anymore. It's loan and it's riba and it is mutadawil and it stays with you, and the number of days it stays with you, that's number how quickly you sell it, and then it's a full riba system even in the gas. So option number one is he leaves, which is not a viable option. Option number two is that he still works in that gas station, knowing deep in his heart that these two things are haram for him, and tries to minimize as much as possible not to sell these things if he can. So let's say if he has a coworker, he can have an agreement with the coworker, Habibi, when somebody comes and buys, can you, like, and they will do it. That
Astaghfirullah,
just say
astaghfirullah.
that, my religion allows
Yeah,
that. Third option is you stipulate that with your owner and your boss prior to joining.
that's a good idea. Okay,
You tell them that I have, because we live in America and we have religious freedoms. They cannot trample on your religious freedoms.
got it.
So you tell them in upfront that in religion I'm not allowed to sell alcohol.
But if they do,
If they don't get a job,
but
Allah will.
if they don't do any of this, then they're in haram at that point.
They're in like
Yeah,
an
yeah,
element.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I mean. So I think we covered as much as we can from this
Jazakallah khair.
topic. Jazakallah khair, ya Sheikh. May Allah
Barakallah fik,
reward you
inshallah.
for that. Jazakallah
Ameen.
khair.
Ameen.
Brothers and sisters in Islam, Jazakumullah khair for watching this podcast. And may Allah make it beneficial for
Ameen.
all of us in this life and the hereafter.